President Tinubu addresses National Assembly, signs bill reverting to Nigeria's old anthem into law. Chief Justice of Nigeria summons Kano Chief Judge and the Federal High Court judge over conflicting orders. Customs to sanction officers in scuffle with VIO operatives. On the foreign scene, Algeria proposes Security Council resolution demanding Israel halt offensive in Rafah. President Tinubu addresses National Assembly, signs will revert Nigeria's old anthem into law. Good evening, welcome to I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. President Bola Tinubu on Wednesday flagged off the recitation of the new national anthem before a joint session of the National Assembly to mark the silver jubilee of Nigeria's Fourth Republic. The occasion coincided with the first anniversary of President Tinubu's administration. The report.
The old anthem, Nigeria, we hail thee, composed when Nigeria gained independence on October 1, 1960, has replaced the Arise, O Compatriots anthem. President Tinubu, while launching the new national anthem, admonished Nigerians to join hands in brotherhood to build the nation. The president was accompanied by the Vice President Kashim Shettima, APC National Chairman and former Kano State Governor Abdullahi Ganduje, among others.
You rang out the latest national anthem. Nigeria will hail thee. See, this is our diversity. Representing all characters and how we blend together to be brothers and sisters.
The signing into law of the old national anthem bill, Nigeria has now reverted to the national anthem that was used pre-1978 era.
There is no better place to commence this revolution of going back to our genealogy than the National Assembly, made of very patriotic, not just representatives, but elected representatives of the people of Nigeria. The voice of the National Assembly is the voice of Nigeria.
Our national anthem, the one that we grew up with, I'm talking about those of us who are above 50. And for the young ones, I'm sure by the time you sit down, read it line by line, word by word, you will see why it is very, very important for Nigeria to revisit its former national anthem.
In the meantime, the president, who said he will soon bring the 2024 supplementary bill before the National Assembly, noted that his administration is walking the talk in terms of timely passage of annual budgets.
I submitted the last budget to you. You expeditiously passed it. We are walking the talk. I will soon bring year 2024 appropriation bill. That is just for your information.
After his address, President Tinubu proceeded to commission the National Assembly Library.
Meanwhile, former Minister of Education Obagili Ezekwesili has vowed not to join Nigerians in singing the old national anthem, Nigeria We Hail Thee, signed into law by President Bola Tinubu on Thursday. Ezekwesili said she would stick to the Arise, O Compatriots national anthem recently jettisoned by the National Assembly and approved by President Tinubu. The former minister said she cannot be compelled to accept an obnoxious law rejected by the Nigerian people. She made this known in a post via her X handle on Wednesday while reacting to the old national anthem that was approved to be the new one. Recall that the National Assembly passed a bill that got Tinubu's assent on Wednesday to return Nigeria to the Nigeria We Hail Thee anthem that was written by British expatriate Lillian Jean Williams and composed by Francis Berder. The anthem was discarded in 1978 when Ben Odiase composed the Arise, O Compatriots anthem. Members of the House of Representatives on Wednesday spoke extensively on the successes recorded so far as Nigeria marks 25 years of unbroken democracy and legislature. The lawmakers took turns to reflect on the journey so far, with some applauding President Tinubu's successes and others deferring. The report.
Hunger, insecurity, and education topped the discussions, with many alluding to the present economic hardship as something not so cheerful, while others looked beyond the last 1 year and affirmed that the past quarter of a century of non-stop democratic rule has all the trappings of a nation moving towards greater heights.
We need to ensure that our democracy strengthens us enough to punish impunity, corruption, and political rascality at whatever level it comes. We've been discussing how to strengthen local governance. This is a task that must be done, and we can only do it under a democratic system like we have.
We still have a long way to go. There are several things that we have left unfulfilled. There are several areas that we need to fill the gap. And I believe that as a house of the people, this is a period for us to sit back, reminiscence where we are coming from, where we are today, and where we ought to be.
Democracy has given us, even in the past, when we had issue in this country where former President Yar'Adua died, we had this doctrine of necessity. That was democracy. Without democracy, there was no way such a thing could have happened. I think that for us as a country, we are grateful to God for giving us these 25 years of unbroken democracy.
On unbroken democracy that we are celebrating today, how has it translated to unbroken food security? How has it transferred and transformed into unbroken security in the nation? How has it transformed into unbroken access to education, access to healthcare? And we're talking about celebration of democracy. The democracy is government of the people, for the people, by the people. And it should actually change the lives of our people.
Meanwhile, the House of Representatives on Wednesday resolved to probe the recent sacking of over 600 staff members of the Central Bank of Nigeria. The resolution followed the adoption of a motion on urgent public importance moved by the member representing Karu, Kefi, Kokona Federal Constituency of Nasarawa State, Jonathan Bekwi. Recall that the Apex Bank last week anchored its decision to lay off some of its staff members on the need to reposition the bank for effective operation. Addressing the House, Bekwi noted that the CBN, as part of an extensive reform, has been downsizing the workforce, which has affected close to 600 employees, including directors and nearly all staff members in the governor's directorate being terminated. According to him, the recent downsizing by the Apex Bank has raised significant concerns and controversies among stakeholders in the country, including the affected employees, labor unions, and members of the public.
Terminating appointments arbitrarily will amount to killing the morale of junior staffs, not knowing what their own fates could be. Concerned that, considering the president's renewed hope agenda and the state of the economy right now, it will be extremely unprofessional to retrench over 600 families, especially where households rely on such persons for their daily livelihoods.
He lamented that those affected by the CBN's action are top-notch professionals whose skills may be lost to Europe and America, thus leaving Nigeria shortchanged.
Nigerians from the northwest geopolitical zone of the country have expressed divergent views on the 1 year of anniversary of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu's administration. Trust TV's Adamu Imam spoke to some of the residents in Bauchi State and sent in this report.
It is a mixed bag of opinions as residents of Bauchi x-ray President Tinubu's performance as he clocks 1 year in office. Some of the issues raised bordered on critical sectors like security and education.
By now you say Tinubu has not done anything for the North. I wouldn't blame him because before coming, he has not promised anything. He said until he can. And by now, like I told you, the issue of Boko Haram, and I think he has done marvelously well in reducing the tension, the problem of Boko Haram, particularly in the northeast. But you see, when you take northeast, when you take other parts of northern Nigeria, northwest, we still have the issue of kidnappers.
What we have earlier been told is that so few individuals are enjoying the subsidy money more than Nigerians. But notwithstanding, still there are a lot of problems, which in fact the subsidy removal has thrown Nigerians into hardship because we are not used to this kind of situation.
We should try and see how to look into the plight of the Nigerian citizens so as to ensure that they get the necessary things that they need so as to be able to live a good life.
We have seen what he started, but there is a need for improvement, especially in the areas of agriculture as well as the economy. They maintain that although President Tinubu started well, the current economic situation, however, places on burden on the president to have a rethink in his style of leadership in order to turn around the fortunes of the country. Adam Imam, Trust TV News, Bauchi.
The Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Olukaide Ariola, has summoned the Chief Judge of the Federal High Court in Kano and the Chief Judge of the Kano State High Court over conflicting interim injunctions regarding the Kano Emirate, which appears to be causing uncertainty in the state. The Federal High Court in Kano, presided over by Justice S.A. Amobeda, issued an order for the eviction of Emir Muhammadu Sanusi II from the Ofar Kudu Palace, while the Kano State High Court, under the jurisdiction of Justice Amina Adamu Aliyu, issued an injunction to protect Muhammadu Sanusi II and other key figures from potential harassment by the state authorities. The State High Court's case is set for further hearing on June the 13th, while the Federal High Court has adjourned its case to June the 4th. Meanwhile, the Nigeria Bar Association, NBA, has stated that the conflicting orders issued by the Federal High Court in Kano and the Kano State High Court, and again the Federal High Court, have brought utter disgrace and shame to the profession. A statement signed by the NBA National Publicity Secretary, Akorede Lawal, on Wednesday said the actions of the courts have exposed the entire legal profession in Nigeria to public ridicule. The NBA president called on the respective heads of the courts of the judges and the judges concerned to take immediate steps to look into their conducts with a view to finding any possible abuse of their judicial offices and file a report with the National Judicial Council for necessary action. This week, a viral social media video showed officers of the Nigeria Customs Service in a confrontation with vehicle inspection officers, highlighting recurring clashes between different security and paramilitary agencies in the country. In this report, Neil Sampson speaks to the parties involved to clear the air on the issues.
Speaking with the public relations officers of both the Nigeria Customs Service and the Directorate of Road Traffic Services, they each highlighted what led to the confrontation between officers of their respective agencies.
They went to retrieve a vehicle that was confiscated by VIO, and it led to that ugly incident. So we feel it's unfortunate. We have part of our Cs, which is, we call them 7 Cs, and one of the 7 Cs is control situation. In whatever situation you find yourself, there is a better way to resolve the issue without even going into such kind of ugly confrontation. So it's not a representation of us. The officers are in detention currently, and they have been undergoing interrogation. And at the end of the investigation, and whatever the outcome is, we are going to act in line with our books.
You will not just say you are a custom officer. Everybody will believe you. The man didn't have any identity card. They told him they have to get to the office He tried to resist with the pressure he had to be. When he got to office, they told him, keep the vehicle here, go and get anything that will identify you. He went home. The following day, he came with 10 officers of custom service.
Both public relations officers also highlighted the measures they are taking to ensure such confrontations do not happen again.
We are not seeing our men justify why they should do that. Also, it requires all elements coming together to see a reason where we all perform our statutory functions in a cordial manner, in such a way that the public will see us as coordinating and try to achieve one purpose, and the purpose is for a better nation.
I will encourage them. I will say they are really doing the right thing, because nobody in a sane society will support such misdemeanor. You are making the society look as if we are not organized. We don't know what anybody is supposed to do. We are trying to build a better society where people will know, yes, Nigerians know what they are doing. Somebody who claims to be an officer of such a respectable organization will descend so low.
Meanwhile, Trust TV News spoke to some FCT residents to gather their opinions on the frequent reoccurrence of interagency clashes.
Something like this happened in Sudan, and we can see the effect and how it led to an endless bloodshed, and up to this moment they are still in war.
Police is asking for driving license and it's not proper. That is not their work. So in a situation like that, it always resort to a problem, because the other side is trying to do the other side's job, which is not his job.
Nigerians are hopeful that the issues of clashes between security and paramilitary agencies will be brought to an end to help boost public confidence. Noel Samson, Trust TV News, Abuja.
The Federal High Court sitting in Lagos has again ordered the interim forfeiture of $1.4 million linked to the former governor of Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, Godwin Emefiele, to the federal government of Nigeria. The judge also ordered the EFCC to publish the interim forfeiture order in a national newspaper for anyone interested in the money sought to be forfeited to appear before the court and show cause within 14 days, while the final order of forfeiture of the said sum should not be made. The court made the orders while granting an ex parte application moved by the counsel to the EFCC, Bilkisu Buhari-Bala. The money forfeited in the interim is said to be in the Donaton Limited's account and domiciled in Titan Bank Limited. Justice Faji has adjourned the matter to June the 25th for hearing of the final forfeiture of the money. At Wednesday's proceedings, the court was informed that the orders sought are pursuant to Section 17 of the Advance Fee Fraud and Other Fraud-Related Offences Act No. 14, 2006, and Sections 44 Sub 2 Sub B of the 1999 Constitution as amended of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Justice Ian Eko of the Federal High Court, Abuja, has discharged the leader of the Miyetti Allah Kautal Kore, Bello Bodejo, of an alleged terrorism charge filed against him by the Office of the Attorney General of the Federation. In a ruling, Justice Eko discharged Bodejo after counsel for the Attorney General of the Federation, Aderonke Imana, moved an oral application for the withdrawal of the 3-count charge. At the resumed hearing on Wednesday, Imana informed the court that she had an oral application. The lawyer said the application was under Section 108 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act 2015. She said the request was further predicated on the power of the Attorney General of the Federation under Section 174 of the 1999 Constitution as amended, adding that the Attorney General of the Federation had instructed her to withdraw the charge against the defendant in the interest of justice. Counsel to Bodejo did not oppose the application, but appreciated the Attorney General of the Federation for his magnanimity. Nasarawa State Command of the Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps have arrested 3 suspected kidnappers and 9 others over alleged commission of different offenses. Public relations officers of the command, Jerry Victor, made this known while parading the suspects in Lafia. Correspondent Abubakar Abdullahi sent in the report as presented from our studio.
Parading the suspect, the Command Public Relations Officer, Jerry Victor, said the suspected kidnappers were apprehended as a result of military onslaught in their hideouts. He said the command gathered that the suspects have perfected plan to abduct some wealthy farmers in the community before the nemesis caught up with them.
They were arrested in Dungu village, where the suspect, Tanko Sadanu, Husseini Abdullahi, Hamidu Jibril, all connive within themselves to kidnap some other people in the village, which include Alhaji Atiku Ibia, a wealthy farmer in Dungu local government, in Dungu village, in Lafia local government area of Nasarawa State, also Alhaji Ajo Koso and Mrs. Hassana Sadano. They are all residing in Dungu village and Lafia local government area.
The NSCDC Public Relations Officer also said female suspected extremists found to have engaged in safekeeping of weapons for the suspected criminal and a brother to the detained Mieti Alalida, Bello Bodejo, were arrested by the command.
Mrs. Hawau Ali confessed to seeing Mrs. Hanatu Sumu carrying 3 AK-47 rifle into the bush on Thursday, 25th January 2024. But averred that the woman hadn't returned to the village since then. As we speak, the suspect, Master Shumu, was on the run the other time, but as we speak now, he's in our custody.
He explained that other suspects arrested includes motorcycle snatchers, rapists, among others. The PRO said the suspects would be charged to court after investigations, while efforts are on to track and arrest suspects on the run.
Following the recent alleged killings of a student of the Ajayi Crowther University in Oyo State, the management of the institution has revealed that 12 out of the 18 students in connection with the crime have been handed over to the police. Vice Chancellor of the institution, Timothy Adebayo, announced this during a press briefing on the incident in Oyo town. We warn some of the images may be disturbing. Viewers' discretion is advised. The report.
A video showing a student being beaten by a group of other students for allegedly stealing a mobile phone inside a hotel went viral on the internet. The students, later identified as Alex Okon, a 200-level mechanical engineering student, eventually lost his life after enduring hours of pain from the torture inflicted by his alleged killers. Following widespread reactions from concerned Nigerians, the school management in a briefing described the incident as shocking and assured the parents of the deceased students that justice would be served and that anyone found guilty would be held accountable.
Any case that cannot hand to another hospital in town because we are just health center in the university provide immediate eggs, something to our students. And when it is more than that, we go to higher health center. We have had cases where we have from hostel to health center to another hospital in town, then to UCH, and God help us. But this one, we find that when he was brought to the hospital in town, he was brought in death. And they were later interrogated, only to find out that not all these people that were taken to the police station actually participated.
The Vice Chancellor revealed that 12 students arrested in connection with the crime have been transferred to Ibadan for further investigation.
The police, that's their work. They help us to interrogate, to look at their statements and everything. From there, they were able to identify those people that actually did the crime.
The Vice Chancellor says a delegation has been sent to Abuja to condole with the late student's family.
A gas explosion on Wednesday rocked the Tejosho NTA 10 station of Lagos State, sparking a fire that gutted over 300 wooden shanties in the area. The blaze also affected the nearby St. Heritage Children's School on Adedapo Street off Ararile Street in Surulere. Reports say residents and business owners in the area are counting their losses. An eyewitness appealed for urgent assistance, saying they need emergency response at Adedapo Street off Ararile Street in Surulere.
We need emergency response here. Icon TV reporting here at Adedapo Street off Ararile. We need emergency response.
This is News Hour on Trust TV. Coming out after the break, subsistence agriculture, a panacea to surging food prices across Nigeria. More news when we return. Do stay with us. Thank you for remaining with us. If you are just joining us, this is News Hour on Trust TV. Let's take a look at our top stories again. President Tinubu addresses the National Assembly, signs bill reverting Nigeria's old anthem into law. Chief Justice of Nigeria summons Kano Chief Judge and the Federal High Court Judge in Kano over conflicting orders. Moving on, the Minister of State for Labor and Employment, Nkiruka Onyediocha, has appealed to the organized labor to be considerate and patriotic in their demands in the ongoing negotiation for a new national minimum wage. Onyediocha made the appeal in a statement signed by the Director of Press and Public Relations in the Ministry, Olajide Oshundun, on Wednesday in Abuja. During Tuesday's tripartite committee meeting on the minimum wage negotiation meeting, the federal government had offered labor 60,000 naira as the new minimum wage for workers, while the organized labor stepped down their demand to 494,000 naira. The minister, who said the federal government had consistently taken steps to secure a fair and realistic wage for Nigerian workers, urged organized labor to recognize that the nation's economy was still on the path to recovery from the effect of the pandemic and other economic distresses. The minister said the government recognized that the economic challenges faced by Nigerians were complex and multifaceted and called for a collective effort of all stakeholders to overcome them. 2 weeks before his 3-month suspension was due to expire, Senator Abdul Ahmed Ningi, who was at the center of the recent budget pardon controversy, has been recalled by the Senate. Nigerians have expressed mixed feelings about the action of the upper chamber, noting that it leaves much to be desired. Trust TV's Amarachi Amushi has the report.
On March 12th, Senator Abdul Nengi was suspended for accusing its leadership of fraudulently smuggling projects into the 2024 budget. This claim sparked outrage from Nigerians who demanded more details on the accusation made by Senator Abdul Nengi, only for the suspension to be lifted 2 months later without concluding the investigation.
And yes, he has been called back, but I mean there are certain issues that are still left unresolved. The basic question is whether or not the budget pardon happened, and why is there no conclusive investigation to whatever scenarios that led to a suspension really? How have we settled those processes before recalling him back?
A resident of FCT emphasized the significance of the action, stating that it will serve as a warning to anyone planning to accuse the government without proof.
It has affected him. He has to, resign his position as a leader of the Northern Senator and what have you. Then if he's being called back, it's a good thing. At least lessons have been learned. That's my take on this.
Some have emphasized greatly on the rights of Nigerians to demand transparency and accountability, which have become sacrosanct in the governance process.
How has it been resolved, really? How has it been resolved? We need to deal with the issues before we even understand whether or not due process was followed. So it smacks really of the issue of accountability, and I don't think I am really impressed by the way it has gone.
Another respondent says the suspension was a wrong move and demands that government review the claims and make public the findings.
Said it should be suspended. That was wrong. Constitutionally, I think it's wrong.
Because there's nowhere in the Constitution that you speak your mind or you're in the same place, same power, same authority, and then you'll be suspended. So Abdul Nengi's suspension to me is illegal and is a fraud to democracy.
Even though Nigerians welcome the recall of Senator Nengi, some believes there are still unanswered questions around the scandal that led to his suspension. Amarachi Amoshi, Trust TV News, Abuja.
Farmers generally engage in farming in rural areas due to the availability of land, cost effectiveness, proximity to natural resources, and favorable climatic conditions. However, these days, some urban residents are also growing various plants in their backyards or within their premises to feed their families. Ado Musa takes a look at how some residents of Jos are cultivating crops in their homes.
In the past, it was uncommon for households to engage in farming or planting crops within the premises of their homes due to challenges such as limited land, water scarcity, and disease. Today, however, some residents are growing various types of crops within their home premises to feed their families and even supply their neighbors. Furthermore, when the crops are too abundant for their own consumption, they sell the surplus. What is the secret behind farming within home premises or in the backyard?
Okay, so these ugu leaves are quite expensive in the market. So you see that most times when you just get up in a day and you really don't have what to prepare any soup, it's very easy for you to just come behind the house and you take this very rich and farm fresh. There is no preservative to it. It's just natural from the ground, something that you grow, and there is that pride you get of growing something and also feeding from it. So this gives you all the advantages. You get it fresh and of course free of charge because you are the one that grow it, and you get to enjoy this fresh meal with your family.
Thomas Gutfuan and Afia Gutfuan, a husband and wife duo, have been growing various types of crops including pepper, okra, yam and sweet potato in recent years. They explain what they grow and why they choose to farm within their compound.
This is celery, very expensive. I'm sure many of you know celery, very fresh. Just 2 pieces is enough for cooking. I have 2 of them here. This is mint. This is another variety of mint. I just put it, it's yet to grow. Mint is very nice for taking tea, for soups, for jollof rice, and so many other things. And another time, this is parsley. Parsley is another spice that is very good for cooking. I have 2 of them here. I'm still going to grow this garden. I just started recently on this garden, on this section of my garden. So this is spices size.
Since we came to this compound about 15 years ago, with the space we have, the little space we have, we started it. Very, very useful to us, to the extent that we don't go out for some of the things that are mostly needed. And sometimes even if you go to the market, you don't get the freshness and the good ones that you have. But here you can see we have them available. And friends and relations also sometimes come for some of these things for what they want to use at some times. They're very, very helpful. Yes.
What are the challenges of urban farming? The urban farmers have this to say.
My major challenge so far is this infection. Sometimes the vegetables will just turn red, turn black, before you know it, they are destroyed. Just 3-4 days ago, I fumigated the vegetables because they were beginning to show some signs of infection. I was told it's fungal infection, so I fumigated based on what I was asked to buy and do. And they said I should be doing that from time to time. That's my major challenge. Fertilizer would have been one, but I have rams in the compound. So I use the droppings from the ram to manure my vegetables, my yams, and every other thing I grow around the house.
Homestead farming involves growing plants, fruits, and vegetables in surroundings of a house for domestic use. With the current economic situation in the country, residents are encouraged to embrace this system to ensure food security and nutrition. Ado Musa, Trust TV News, Jos.
Residents of Imo State have appealed to President Bola Tinubu to look into the current hike in prices of foodstuff across the nation. The call is coming in the wake of the outcry by women, especially housewives and mothers in the Imo State, who are lamenting the high cost of tomatoes and pepper in the state. Trust TV's Ajibade Press has the report.
Tomatoes, pepper and onions are essential cooking ingredients in homes across the country. Many homes depend on them for their daily meals, especially on Sundays when the option of rice and stew is very high. Sadly, the price of these items is now way beyond the reach of the average woman.
Met tinubu as our president with his team of politicians. We are still waiting for you. I'm a tribalistic man. I rule over 7,000 indigenes, both senior citizens, the poor of the poorest, the students, the youths. I put them together. We are having a serious hardship.
Really, I don't know what is the cause, but recently tomatoes has been very expensive. The last week we bought it 100 and something, and this week again it increased like 20,000 on top of it.
Before we used to buy it highest 40,000, but now it's 130,000, 140,000, and if you buy it, you can hardly get the money. Talk less of them.
Eze Oliver Ohawe called on the Tinubu-led federal government to prioritize policies that will aid food sufficiency for the betterment of the masses.
But you cannot spend such amount of money to renovate National Assembly, to buy vehicles for elected officers whom we voted for, and to do other things when the masses voted are dying of hunger and starvation. We are living on palliatives.
The women on their part believe that the federal government can salvage the situation with the political will needed to surmount daunting challenges.
The federal government is that they should look into this matter. The masses are suffering.
Like this little one I'm shading here now is 1,000. The other one is 2,000. Half pence is 5,000 last. There are people that cannot afford to buy it.
And they need to help us. We need help, because as we are here now, this market now is where I'm having money. Both school fees are feeding my children. But now we can't see the capital, talk less of them. We are suffering too much.
With the current hardship, the quality of life in Nigeria is being affected negatively. Residents are, however, hopeful that government will look into the matter with a view to providing solutions. Ajibade Praise, Trust TV News, Owerri.
Inadequate rainfall in Benue State is sending fears to farmers who are saying that it may lead to food crisis, even in states where the majority of residents are farmers. Jimmy Adzande has the report.
Yam and granules farmers that constitute the first wave of famine when the rains return are yet to plant this year. This is because in many areas, the amount of rainfall is not adequate for planting due to the nature of the land.
Of this scarcity of rain has really caused a lot in our current society, most especially in Benue State. Let me start with saying before, like past years, by now, people that do plant groundnuts and then people that do plant tomatoes should or would have been saying by next month or the upper month they should start harvesting. But because of this scarcity of rain, most farmers has not even planted anything.
Some of the farmers say many are yet to plant, while some of them lost their seedlings to the scorching sun in the state. This is a sad situation. I've been on the farm here for a while, and I keep wondering, will my labor yield any fruits? It is quite unfortunate that climate change has taken a toll on us, and it is very difficult for some of us to understand. This is actually a new phenomenon. They are stressing the effects of climate change on the environment, calling for more awareness for farmers to begin to appreciate the realities of the time.
CS is wearing like this, and this will have an effect on agricultural product and possibly the economy. Now, what are the possible ways that will avoid this? Because of course, these are natural disasters that you cannot avoid. We don't make rain, we only wait for God and blessings to shower us rain. Of course, there are ways government to key in these sectors. We will encourage for some agricultural products, we encourage irrigation, even on large-scale farming.
It is the end of May, and unlike the past, there is no tangible growth of crops, a situation that has given the farmers sleepless nights at the moment because of the uncertain futures in their line of business. Jimmy Azandi, Trust TV News, Makurdi.
The dream of education is increasingly getting out of reach for many girls in Katsina State. The high cost of school fees combined with a growing security threat are creating a significant barrier to their aspirations. Jamilu Mabai reports on a community-led initiative that's stepping in to bridge the financial gap and keep girls' educational dreams alive.
Every girl comes to school late.
Nafisa Aliu's dream is to become a doctor, but that dream comes with a hefty price tag. One her family simply can't afford. Financial cost is just one of the hurdles Nafisa and many girls like her face in their pursuit of education.
To be honest, I faced a lot of challenges because I am not the only child in our home. I have siblings who are also schooling back at home while I attend a boarding school. I spent 3 to 4 weeks without resuming back to school due to inadequate financial support.
For years, boarding schools offered a path to a brighter future for girls in northwest Nigeria. These schools have become a dangerous target for bandits who kidnap students for ransom. According to the United Nations Children's Fund, Katsina has 500,000 out-of-school children as at 2022. This rise in banditry has forced government to close down schools in these frontline areas. Nafisa's story is a reflection of hundreds of girls in her class, their dreams put on hold due to lack of financial resources and the growing threat of violence.
You need to underline all the remaining words.
A community-based initiative led by local residents is providing financial support to these girls.
Yes, it has really made a change in the sense that before, students, many of them used to run away from school because of financial situation of their parents, or their parents cannot take care of their what is required of them is a school requirement. But with the coming of this financial assistance, whereby those who cannot afford to be getting money, the Agile program is giving them money in the sense that this amount of money of 20,000 naira given to the parents is really helping them in buying books, in buying all what is required for them in the student to attend the school.
This vital support takes a huge burden off their families' shoulders.
Are you sure? Why do you say Musa?
Because it's the dua of the action.
Jamil Mobai, Trust TV, Katsina.
Nigeria's former president Olusegun Obasanjo has officially commissioned the Jimeta-grade interchange named Adamawa Unity Bridge. President Obasanjo, who commended Governor Fentiri's infrastructure drive, urged the governor to also give attention to rural infrastructure and security. Gibson Sodiago reports.
The newly constructed Great Interchange is situated in the heart of Yola, the capital of Adamawa State. The project, which started on 30th August 2020, has about 5 features, including an underground pass, an overpass, CCTV cameras, and roads connecting multiple streets to ease intrastate transport. Governor Manuel Fintri, in a remark, vowed to sustain his infrastructure development efforts until all urban and semi-urban centers wear a befitting look, not only for aesthetics, but for the comfort and convenience of the populace and investors. He added that away from the state capital, the state government has carefully selected several semi-urban centers for infrastructural facelift.
This is a project with a short but interesting story. Like most of our projects, when we did the groundbreaking ceremony, skeptics went wild with their usual doubts. It cannot be done. Someone had the guts to tell me that I was digging a hole or a pit at the center of the city without the knowledge of how I'm going to fill it. To the glory of God, today it is not only done, but done excellently and on record time. Projects of this nature are landmark signatures for every city, for urban planning purpose and municipal identification. They are conventionally named in line with this tradition and in keeping faith with what it represents and symbolizes in the city and Adamawa State. I hereby named the overhead bridge and great interchange with underpass as Adamawa Unity Bridge.
Performing the flag off, former President Olusegun Obasanjo lauded the developmental projects executed by Governor Fintri for the past 5 years, noting that such efforts will better engender development in other sectors of the state's economy.
After urban renewal and urban development, which had to be a continual effort, we must not forget rural development and particularly the issue of insecurity, which are driven many of our people from the rural area to the urban area. Governor, we have to do our utmost best to ensure security so that our people can go back to their, what I will call their area of their habitat, which is close to them and they know well. And then, of course, they go on to produce food and live their normal life.
Earlier, Governor Munumu Fintri had led the team that welcomed the former president at Yola International Airport. Gibson So Adugo, Trust TV News, Yola.
Time now for business news with Yusuf Akogu.
Welcome to Business News. I am Yusuf Akogu. The Association of Bureau de Change Operators of Nigeria has demanded that the Central Bank of Nigeria reverse new capital requirements for the operations. They noted that the Apex Bank is threatening their business and came up with recommendations that they claim will be presented to the CBN. The president of APCON, Aminu Gwadabe, demanded immediate reversal of the financial requirement while proposing 500 million naira for Tier 1, 100 million naira for Tier 2, and 35 million naira for Tier 3, with each having different levels of engagement with the regulators. In a circular issue last Wednesday, the CBN issued fresh guidelines for operations of the Bureau de Change in Nigeria, which include 2 new categories of licenses with different capital base. The regulator also mandated all existing BDCs to reapply for new licenses in their preferred category with 6 more grace periods to meet the capital requirements. The Nigerian Investment Promotion Commission has pledged its support for government at all levels to promote investment drive and economic transformation in the country. Executive Secretary CEO Aisha Rimi gave the assurance while speaking in Gombe on Monday to kickstart the Nigerian Investment Certification Program for states. The agency is partnering with the United Nations Development Program and the European Union to attract foreign direct investment to support revenue drive and job creation. Investors' renewed interest in equities was sustained at the close of business on Wednesday. Let's see how the stock data went down today. Of course, the market closed positive there. AB Microfinance Bank leading the table there, 9.76% it gained to close at 2 naira and 70 kobo per share, followed by NASCON up 9.66% to close at 40 naira and 85 kobo per share. Of course, FCMB also up there, 9.63% to close at 7 naira and 40 kobo per share. Of course, this has pushed up the market up by 0.44%. Volume of trade 518.948 million shares, value at 4.767 billion naira in a days of 7,781 did exchange hands among investors today. Of course, some equities also did well. Leading the top trading equities there is AB Microfinance Bank, 230.34 million shares it traded. Access Corporation, 80.992 million shares. UBA, 23.901 million shares it traded at the close of business today. Of course, some equities also ended on the losing side of the market. Leading that table is International Energy Insurance, down 9.68% to close at 1 naira and 40 kobo per share. Jais Bank down as well, 6.52% to close at 2 naira and 15 kobo per share. Tantalizer PLC down 6% to close at 47 kobo per share. That's the highlight of stock trading as it went down this Wednesday on the floor of NGS. Let's see the global stock market and exchange rate data for today. Oil prices move up higher earlier today ahead of the OPEC Plus meeting on Sunday, with most analysts expecting the group to keep production cut of some 2.2 million barrels daily in place during the second half of the year. And in London market, Brent crude sells for $84 per barrel. For the OPEC basket, price steadies at $81 per barrel. And that's business. I am Yusuf Akobu.
On the foreign scene, Algeria is circulating a proposed United Nations Security Council resolution that would demand an immediate ceasefire in Gaza and order Israel to halt its military offensive in the southern city of Rafah. The draft resolution also demands that the ceasefire be respected by all parties. The draft also calls for the immediate release of all hostages taken during Hamas attack in southern Israel on October the 7th. Some diplomats said they hoped for a quick vote even as early as Wednesday. The United States has vetoed multiple resolutions demanding a ceasefire in Gaza. The latest draft demands compliance with previous Security Council resolutions that call for the opening of all border crossings and humanitarian access to Gaza's 2.3 million people who desperately need food and other aid. Time now to join Emmanuel Fashemi for the sports news.
The Minister of Sports Development, John Owaneno, will meet with presidents, secretaries and technical directors of Olympic-bound sports federations as the ministry perfects preparations towards Paris 2024 Olympic Games. The program collaboratively involves notable bodies such as the Nigerian Olympic Committee, NOC, Paralympic Federation of Nigeria, and the Ministerial Podium Performance Committee in order to foster synergy towards achieving Nigeria's objectives at this year's Summer Olympics. NOC stated that the training program is one amongst various strategies of the ministry to ensure Team Nigeria achieves success at the forthcoming Games in Paris, France. The program is exclusively focused on working with federations that have qualified qualified to participate at the Olympic Games. The minister had mentioned that Nigeria deserves another run of gold medal haul at the Olympics, just as it did in Atlanta 1996, adding that the country must work to surpass the record it set 28 years ago in the United States of America. The program will take place on Thursday, May 30th, 2024 at the Media Center of Moshood Abiola National Stadium, Abuja. 2 Nigerian boxers have exited the ongoing road to Paris 2024 Olympic qualifying tournament in Bangkok, Thailand. Ifeanyi Onyekwere suffered a point decision defeat against Luvachinsky of Ukraine in the men's plus 92 kg super heavyweight round of 32 earlier on Wednesday. Following suit was Blessing Orakwe, who slumped to a unanimous 0-5 point loss to Ani Hovsepeyan of Armenia in round 32 of the women's 66 kg. Nigeria's hopes of qualification for the Olympics are now pinned on 3 remaining female boxers: Zainab Adeshina in 50 kg category, Patricia Mbata 75 kg, and Elizabeth Oshoba in 57 kg. The underwhelming performances by Team Nigeria at the qualifying bouts in Thailand diminishes chances of the country's athletes to share in the recently announced prize monies for medalists in Paris. And that is sports. I am Emmanuel Fashimi.
And that concludes News Hour on Trust TV. Do not forget to follow us across all media platforms and join our YouTube live stream for more news, programs, and documentary. I am Muhammad Kudu Abubakar. Thanks for watching.